Now then, this is a bit of a fix-it video, and normally I get charging into fixing things and then halfway through you go, I should have videoed this, but it's too late because all the bits that were destroyed you've already investigated and taken half apart. However, this time we're going to start at the start and see how the video turns out. Here on the bench I've got a couple of VACs, vacuum cleaners. They're 2,200 watt units. They were both thrown away in the scrap. Some of them are a bit mashed, others, well, there's a lot of these get thrown away just because the people who are operating them don't seem to care, and all they want is a new one, so they can destroy the new one as well. I don't want to say any more about that, but that's the way it seems to happen with vacuum cleaners that end up in the scrap. So we want to investigate these and see if we can get them going. So the first thing to do is to see whether the motors run. So we've got a mains connection here, and I'll just see if it's switched on, which hopefully it is. So let's these cables were tangled up real bad, yeah, knotted and all sorts of things, so that doesn't bode well for any potential maintenance. But plug it in. Will the motor run? Where's the switch? There's the switch. Well, that motor runs fine. Let's just see if the brushes spin round. Right, the brushes aren't spinning round there. We'll investigate that. So unplug it. It could be that it's got blocked up and they've burnt the belt out. Let's try this one, and this is that one there. Yeah, you can see that. The black one. Let's go round, switch it on. So on the black one, the brushes do spin, but it stinks. So that wants to be taken apart and have a very good clean. This one, the motor runs but the brushes don't. So where do we start? I think, well, this black one here, the top of the handle is broken. So we're going to have to rob bits off some to get to the other. Yeah. Let me think about this for a minute. So I've decided to investigate the black one first. So that wants a good clean, and the filter inside. Turn that round. Turn. Yeah, that looks like a paper one. So it probably won't wash very well, but I'm going to try and wash it, and I'm going to wash the canister out and see what happens. It does show here wash, but whether or not that one will do or not, I'm not sure. We'll carry on with that, but it's obviously had damp in it because it's and pet hair and stuff. So there's another filter here. I don't know how it comes out. So that looks like it needs, there's a bit of glue there. So that needs, looks like it needs washing. The hopefully you can see the cable clip is broken on this one. I can't quite see. We'll have to undo that. And then there is the hose of some form, and that'll want washing out as well. Let's have a look. This just works. And let's have a look at the brushes. Well, that doesn't look bad there. I'm going to start taking all this lot apart, and let's go as far as we can see. So I've taken the dust cylinder and filter and given it a good blast with the water jet, and then immersed it in a big tub of hot soapy water and giving it a good scrub. So that's off drying. Now this is the black vacuum, and we need to take the bottom off. Now normally on a lot of these vacuums just that plate there comes off, but it doesn't seem to on this one. So what I found out is there's a screw there, and there's one here. There's not one that side. Okay, I've taken the wheels off just because I was investigating, but you undo those 3 screws and then turn the machine over, and then from the front the whole top comes off, which is sort of useful. And there we go. Now the belt's intact. That's the one off the other one. It obviously was jammed up. The brushes were jammed up because there's various bits where it's got hot. And actually in the hose there's bits of Lego and all sorts of things. So I think there's some education required for somebody there. I'm not going to say any more. So all we've got now is the whole brush assembly can come out, and I'd like to take the motor out. There's some foam there which is an outlet or an exhaust foam, so I think I need to clean that as well. But the main area of concern is the fact that this doesn't stay upright. So again, I imagine somebody's just gone yank, yeah, without pressing that down. That's what it's for, to disconnect the lock. So I think we're going to have to investigate that. I don't know whether this is a part that you can buy, or whether we'll have to get the hot glue or the araldite or whatnot out there and glue a little sort of, maybe a metal stub or something like that that connects with the dogs on the side of the motor. Anyway, I'm going to crack on. I'm quite impressed with the way this is set out, because it's obviously very easy to clean and maintain, and you can see exactly what's gone on. Instead of some other types of vacuums, trying to get a belt on is entertaining to say the least. And just whilst we're here, that's where the suction comes from. It comes up there and off into the pipe. So we're just going to crack on with that. So the motor is held in by 2 screws, and there's a screw there that you undo, and then this whole clip comes off. It just drops down and lifts up. Now there's a clip the other side, but this tends to get in the way, so I'm not quite sure how that works, but let's just can't seem to get to the clip. We've got a bit of a design flaw there. I think we'll have to take this top off first. So let's just put that back in. So I'll just flip it over and we'll see how this lot comes apart. So this is pretty battered. There are some screws here. One, two, I think there's another one there. Slightly shorter than the majority of the screws. That's those 6 undone, and whilst we're here, this hose comes off. But having messed with the other one, it's just a bit tricky. There we go. But, that's interesting. Bits of glass. Someone's obviously had a windscreen broke and they've tried to hoover it up with one of these. So this should now come off. It needs to come up parallel. There we go. Okay. So then, what else have we got? There's 2 screws there that hold this grip on. How does this handle come off? There we go. So that just pops out. There's a screw in the back there. Right. Let's have a look on the other side. There it is. So let's just hopefully that's coming undone. Oh yeah, it's pushing that out. Let's just flip it over. As I undid that screw and pushed on the screw, it pushed that out. So now we need to pop that screw out. On that side, put a screwdriver underneath the head. I don't know whether you're getting this or not. There's the screw that holds that lock tab in place. Luckily we've got another one of those. There we go. That's that out. So then, on this bottom, I suppose it's the hook to wind the cable around. This one's well beat about. There's 1 screw in the middle, and there should be, and it's broken off, but there are 2 long screws here. So we'll undo these long screws, and they're about 2 inches long. You can see the beauty of me having investigated with that blue unit to start with, because trying to find how these sort of things come apart is not easy, but with that blue one I wasn't that scared if I broke something. There we go. That was just a bit burred up. Now we've got that off, we have the motor unit. Okay. let's undo this now. Now this motor unit's not quite so cumbersome. And push down and release. Now I wonder if this will do the same. The last one, it wouldn't do it. It's sort of pushed down, but it won't release. Taking the belt off. There we go. That's the motor away from the subframe, and I can take that and give that a good blast and wash all the muck out of it. But before we start, I want to have a look at this locking mechanism. So as we can see, there's a lump broken off. So we might have to build that up somehow. Maybe a bit of oak might just do it, and shape to glue in there. Let's have a look at the side of the motor. So as you can see, that's all burred over. Now on the other motor it's not so bad, so we can probably swap motors or swap cases, but that is really burred over and nasty. And I think it's important that a vacuum, the main handle, does stand upright when you want it to. I mean, I suppose you could glue a thin bit of stainless in there, so you've got an edge that sticks up here and maybe folded over so it goes along, down and along, and then glue it in place. That would repair that. But if we've got another one, there doesn't seem to be any point. So more investigation required. Okay, so here's the motor, and it looks like there's loads of screws down in these. So I'm just going to undo those. Now then, these are all posies apart from that one, which is some strange form of security screw. As it happened, I jammed a flat bladed screwdriver down in there, and that seems to have got it apart. We may have another screw somewhere. That comes apart that side. This side, it doesn't seem to want to come apart just here. Now, I've learnt with these things that there are hidden screws just where you think they're all on one side, and then you get one more hidden away. Let's have a look. And there's not one underneath that rubber seal, although that rubber seal will have to come out. It looks like there's something there holding it together, just in this point here. Right, leave it with me, I'll investigate. Okay, so it's held together in this region here, and I was thinking, well, so we found something. Again, you need to pop this out. Okay, that wants a good clean. It's full of gunge and a spring, but just there is the offending screw. So there's always one that's hidden just to stop people. There we go. One motor. So I've stripped the motor out of here and I give this a good washing, and if we look there you can see that there's a good stop there. In fact, I might just run a blade along there and just to sharpen that edge. but to better wash it out I obviously had to remove one or two things, and I had to remove the cable. And these connectors here have got little clips on them, so you have to depress a little area for this spade connector to come off because they're locked on. Anyway, here this is the cable clamp, and this top goes on top of it like that to lock it all in place. So we'll just do that. So that's that. Okay, now then, I had to remove the switch also to give this good washing. Okay, and the switch goes from the outside like that. Okay, and the brown, the live in, goes to the bottom terminal. Not that it matters. And that's now locked on. And on the outside here, somewhere, we have that just locks that switch in place. Okay, so I had to chop the blue, the neutral, to get the motor out, and I've given the motor the best cleaning I can. Just move this forward. Perhaps I'll just give it a bit more of a wire brush. Perhaps I'll just go and give that a wash, just to remove some of the... No, it's not that smelly, but we'll just give it a wash anyway. Give this seal a wash and everything, just to so that when we start it up we don't get any residual stink. And as you can see, I've had to cut the blue there. I couldn't get this nut off because it's not a terminal nut. That's a crimp there. So I will then put a further connector there. I'll just go and wash this. Right, I've given this a clean, and this just drops in. Let's bring the cable. That brown one there goes to the switch. So let's just pop that one on there. I don't know whether you could see this, but did you hear that click? And the capacitor, which is a there it is, it's a suppressing capacitor. It goes in that little pocket there. Okay, and so we've just got to twiddle this around. There we go. The capacitor goes in there. Okay. Everything goes down here. We've got to put we've got to connect that neutral yet. And that just sits in there. Like that. In a moment when we can get it. There we go. So that sits in there, and this sits in its own housing, but we'll have to connect the neutral up, and that's quite solid now, you see. So just lift that out, and I'll just connect those up. So that's the motor in place, and then we've just got the cover, but before that we've got to put the filter in place. So first of all, there's this piece, and it just fits in there, and there are these dogs or something like that, and there are some holes in this mesh which pop up through there and hold it in place. It's a bit of a fiddle, but it's not bad. And then there's this lump of foam, okay, and this goes round the motor. So let's go back to the motor, and it goes round here like this, and it's sort of tucked in like that. So effectively it's an exhaust filter. Okay, yeah, and I've given that a good clean because it was pretty blocked. And then the top goes on, and it's you just got to wiggle this down, and then it's a matter of putting the screws in. Now let's have a look. There is the security screw. It's a Torx, but it's got a pin in the middle, and obviously I'm not going to fit that again. So we'll just fit one out of the other motor. So that seems to go back together, and now we've got to look at this clip that holds the handle upright, and this is where it locks in, and I can see that that is slightly rounded over. So I'm just going to get this Stanley knife and just undercut that edge a bit. Just instead of it being rounded like that, I want a square edge like it is over here. Now I'll do that off camera, but I'll just tidy that up, and then we'll have a look at the other half of this lock or clip or whatever you want to call it. So this is the edge here that does the work, and as you can see it's broken. So I've created a bit of copper there, and I'm going to fill the back with hot melt glue and just keep that in place. That's quite a tight fit as it is, but it does need supporting, and I will put a piece of hot melt glue down the front here because it's that edge that does the work. I've left it a little bit long so that I can file some off if I want, and as with the when I showed how to fix a battery case, bearing in mind you've got to take the electrolyte out first, you warm the plastic up first so that the hot melt glue can stick to it rather than getting cold instantly. So let's just see if I can do that on camera or not. I've got the hot air gun, and let's warm this plastic up. It's not that hot, yeah, because some of these guns, some of these guns you can melt plastic with it, so it's set on a fairly low setting. And that copper's quite warm now. Just remove that bit so that it will swing down. So we'll see how that works. Okay, so I've cleaned up this base. The red rubber unclips and give that a good scrubbing. And on that side, I don't know whether we can see, there we go, you can see there's a square section there and there's a square pin on the end of the rotor, so that's how it locks together. So I'll just put the rotor in place. So that end's got a round on it and that end's got a square on it. So you put the belt on. I'm just holding it tight. Then the round goes in the round end, and then we just line up the square and it should just go in that right socket. There we are. And that's it. That's what holds it in. That and the tension on the belt. There we go. So now I've done the clip, but I just want to tune that a little bit. So let's have an investigate on that. So here's that clip, and as you press it down, it stops on that square there. So I think I'm going to just take a little bit off that square, just to make sure it opens a bit more. I think we can probably get away with that, just to try and improve it, because I think this is a serious design flaw. The rest seems great, but this is a problem, so I'm going to try and improve it. So I just put a piece of, this is 60 grit, between there. And just run it backwards and forwards to bed the two in together. And that's created a curve on that block, and also just removed a very slight amount from the web underneath there. So that opens up a bit more now, and if we can see, don't know whether we can, but if you put a straight edge there, then the dog is further away than this edge, so it's going to miss quite well. So just improve movement a bit, that's all. Right, let's crack on. So the next thing is to put the motor back in place. Now it's a bit fiddly, but not that bad. The main thing that I found is it's important that this stays out of that socket to be able to get things in place, you see, and then it drops in. If you try and put it in that socket first, it won't go in. And I haven't tried, as you notice, I haven't tried to put the belt on, yeah, because that would just make life a lot worse. And I think these are the black screws. There we go. And the other one, the clip goes in the back there and lift. So that's the motor back in place. And then it's just simply a matter of I'll lift this rotor out again and put the belt in place, and I'm going to put the rest together. Got to remember that the seal on the top of here, all sorts of bits and pieces, but if I come across anything that I think that's worth showing, then I will do so. Okay, this is just another interesting bit. This works now, right? But if you can see these two here, as you close this, it comes up against two pins there, which actually raise the wheels. Okay, and that seems to be a bit of a problem, because if you push like mad, it doesn't raise the wheels. So again, maybe a design fault. It's supposed to raise the wheels so that when you're just using the suction pipe, the rotor is not touching the floor. Maybe they need a bit of WD or something on there to make that work properly. Right, these are the wheels, and they're held on with a circlip down in there, and they have splines. If you press the shaft, you can actually put a bit of silicone rubber grease on there and put that back together. Then this goes in here, and the splines have got to line up with the plastic, and then we have a little circlip down in there. So it's down in there, and you just have to feed that in with a pair of snipe nose pliers or something like that into the groove, and then push it home with the screwdriver, as we have done there. Okay, so we're nearly there now. So there we are, a mixture of colours. And just round the back here, I unblocked the pipe, and that's how it goes. So that then, that socket there, because that comes apart, and there's a little clip there that screws on that takes the interface between that hose and this hose. That would be where the tools fit, but of course we don't have any. And two bits of Lego and a Christmas tree bauble. That's what was blocking that pipe up. How you would think that would get through a vacuum cleaner. Wonders never cease. Never mind. Anyway, so we're in place now, everything's done. Yeah, it's complete apart from the extra tools, but I'm just going to go and road test it. So I've just stuck a bit of carpet down and spread a load of sawdust all over it. If you notice, that works well now. And we'll switch this on. So there you go, another item fixed. It's this sort of thing where you've got inbuilt design flaws like this, and people's inability to think about maintaining equipment correctly that is contributing to the ails of this world. I think we all ought to be a bit more aware of our impacts. Anyway, catch up with you soon.